Hello guys, it's me, Pastor Jean-Marc Mulumba. I'm going to take this time to share my testimony with you. The idea of this podcast is to start a conversation, blunt conversation, a transparent conversation, because as a counselor, pastor, I really get to get into people's life. I come to realize that people are going through diverse kind of problems, and one of the reasons being really the lack of knowledge, as the Bible declares that my people are perishing for the lack of knowledge. So I want to join in on a few of men and women of God or Christians that are out here trying to bring their experience to affect and help people to prevent or to fix situations that they may be enduring, be it in discovering their purpose, be it in finding the relevance in life, be it in having a marriage work. So, as we introducing our podcast, I first wanted to introduce myself to you. I wanted you to know who I am and where I came from, meaning my past life, and so that you will know once I'm speaking to you about the subject that we will be sharing, where am I coming from with that? I truly believe that it is powerless to speak on things that you have not experienced yourself. I personally, I don't know about you, I do not want someone who has not gone through what I'm going through counseling or helping me. I will 100 times prefer somebody that I've been out there, I've been to hell and back, I've experienced what I'm experiencing, to be able to counsel me. It is important that you know my background, and so I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit about me. It's not always a comfortable thing to talk about oneself. It's easier when my name is, again, Jean-Marc Mulumba Kalala. Kalala being my first name, Mulumba is my last name, and Jean-Marc is my middle name. I was born in Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. Back then it used to be Zaire. In 1970, I'm born in July 2nd, 1970, which makes me 51 as of today and 52 as of July 2nd. I'm born out of a large family. My dad and my mom had altogether 9 children. And I am the youngest, the last of the baby to some of a family of 9. Of all 9 of us, we have lost our oldest sister, I believe more or less 5 years ago. And so I have 7 siblings that remain alive, of which all of them are Christians. And so we grew up in I would like when I say a Christian home, but it's most likely a religious home where our parents believed in God and we were attending a Presbyterian church. I grew up in a neighborhood called Liberté in Congo, and so we were attending the Presbyterian church in Congo Liberté. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my childhood. And so like I say, I grew up, I was born in a family of 9. And I am the youngest of the 9 siblings. And so Technically, I was spoiled. I was a little bit spoiled. Um, I would say, um, according to the U.S. standard, that my parents were middle class, and so really we did not lack of anything when I was growing up. Anything that we needed as children, we were able to have. Um, but I will say that I was a little bit fast. I grew up fast. I don't know if it's the fact of having being the youngest and having only older brothers and older sisters, but I was pretty fast in my life. And so I recall pretty much when I was uh, 8 years old, we had a prayer meeting at home that one of my sister introduced my family to. And I remember I was 8, I was young. Of course, I was the baby, so I was a little bit turbulent, like every kid, and hard headed because I was the baby. Everybody catered to me, and from the parent to my siblings. And so, as we were having that prayer meeting, um, one of the brothers that were leading that prayer meeting prophesied on me. He said, I will never forget that. I was 8, but I remember it vividly, as if it was yesterday. He prophesied that if he was seeing me behind a desk, like such as this one, as a picture in it, behind the desk, and in the title plate on the desk was written ministre. So you have to understand that ministre in Congo or in French-speaking country is the equivalent of a secretary either of state or secretary of energy, or so that's who we call ministre bagon. It also means minister, but here minister often stand for minister of the gospel. But I know, like in England, I believe, or some other English-speaking country, they refer also to secretaries as minister of state, minister of state, minister of energy. And so they prophesied, and everybody, my siblings, I could see them laughing. Myself, I was laughing because at age 8 or 9, that I was at the time, I was already turbulent, not doing well at school. I couldn't focus at school. I didn't like school. I didn't like to study. I didn't like to do all my homework unless they pushed me to. And so it was a little bit funny that this guy that don't like school at all, how is he going to become a secretary of anything, a minister? And so we laughed, but it's something that never left me. And I say this because through my childhood and even my teenage year, that moment, that prophetic moment, never left me. I always knew it's for some reason. I don't know if it's a fact of being young or because it was just God speaking to me. That was a strong moment in my life that never left me, and for some reason, I believed it. I truly believed it. And long story short, like I say, I grew up pretty fast. So I will say, not exaggerating, at age 10 or 11, I will hang out in my neighborhood, but not with people my age. When I was 10 or 11, my friends at the time, people that I would hang out with, were 14, 15, 16, 17. And I was just like their little brother slash friend. So very quickly, I got introduced into smoking cigarette. So at age 10 or 11, I started smoking cigarette. Of course, in hiding, I would hide. Doing that, I would smoke when I'm outside. And my father was a smoker. And so sometimes I would even steal some of his cigarette when I couldn't afford it. At 10, 11 years old, you don't always have money in your pocket. I would say 12, 13 years old, no, 12 years old, I start drinking alcohol and tons of it. And so we'll go hang out with my, older brothers from the neighborhood, I would say, slash friends, my friends who were 6, 7, 8 years old older than me. We'll go places, we'll hang out, I will drink, and I believe 13 years old is probably when I first really had a sexual relationship with women, and it was in general women older than me, and so those experiences really started to dictate my life. I became rebellious. I didn't like school. 13 years old, I would skip school. I would skip school to go hang out with my friend, drink, smoke, go after girls, and I was told, often, that I was very cute as a young boy, and I would ask out, girls that were 4, 5, 6 years older than me. Of course, I would not tell them that I'm 13. When I was 13, I would tell them that I'm 15. And so, pretty much, often it worked, and sometimes it didn't work. But that was pretty much my life. I was doing pretty bad at school. I think when I was 13, I was going to a private school called La Mobilière, and I got I got revoked from the school, and so I then went to for a few months to another private school, Malula, and then from there, when the new school year started, I went to Elikia, and that's there I discovered that I didn't have to study because I could pretty much buy my grade by corrupting my teachers, and so that became a lifestyle, and life was bad. To just give you one example of my youth, I remember I was probably 13, and then I just got into being 14. One of my friend and I, we escaped from home. He was supposedly in a province called Bazaïr in Internat, but his parents did not know that. In a boarding school, his parents didn't know. And so he will come to Kinshasa, and he went to his house, stole money from his dad. I would still steal money from my parents, and we'll go party. But that time around, he stole a bag of foreign currency, which were dollars and Swiss franc, and at the time there was no euro currency, so and French franc, and those were powerful currencies. That once we converted it to Congolese money at the time, Zaire, it was a lot of money. And so we went and paid ourselves a hotel in a very animated part of the country, Kasavubu near Matonge. The hotel name was the Pyramid. We knew it because one of our friend's father owned the hotel. And so we were staying there. My parents didn't know where I was. His parents thought that he was in Bazaïr, and we were living in a hotel with a bag full of money. And so we went crazy. We would party every day. When you have money, you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of girls around, and that's all we did. And we will go to the downtown Kinshasa, uh, change the currency every day, get the Zaire money, and we'll go party. And then we'll go buy clothes, party, shopping, party. And so the first day that I didn't return home, my parents were worried, and my dad and mom, called all their connections to look for me in jails, to look for me in the hospital, and so I reached out to my sister. 2 days later, he said, "Man, if you come home, Dad will kill you because we've been looking everywhere for you, and they're thinking that you're dead or something happened to you." So I told her, "Just tell them I'm okay, not to worry about me. I'm not dead. I'm fine." And so that's the message they conveyed to my parents. And so we stay in that hotel, I believe, for 10 days or 2 to 3 weeks until we were broke, until all that money was finished. So that's the kind of life I was living. And at 14, that year, I got introduced into marijuana. And so with those older friends of mine, I started smoking marijuana, drinking alcohol, and partying. Dating older women, and I'm not proud to say it, dating prostitutes, because all I needed to be with them was money. And that was my life. That was my life. And I became more and more rebellious from my home, my parents. And so the solution for that was to take me away from those friends. And so at that time, I said that I'm born out of a family of 9, but I have 6 sisters and only 2 brothers. And all my first 5 sisters come first, and then my first brother, and then my second brother, and then one of my sister, and then me. And so very young, two of my sisters, my father sent them abroad in Belgium precisely to pursue their education, and then few years later, all the boys were supposed to join them, and so all 3 of us went to Belgium. But I was still at that time 9 years old. I didn't like it. I wanted to be near my mom and my dad. So I stayed for, I think, 3-4 months, cried, depressed, and so they sent me back home. And so my 2 older brothers remained in Belgium. And so most of my childhood that I just shared with you, I had my 2 brothers abroad in Europe, and I was in Congo. And so when it got pretty bad at 14, my parents decided that I had no more choice, that I had to join my 2 brothers in Europe. It's a little funny that my people, kind of laugh around this, because back then, really most young people dreamed of going to study abroad, going to study in Europe, whether in France or in Belgium. I didn't like it at all. I didn't mind visit for vacation, come back, but to study, I didn't like it because I felt like I was having fun back home in Congo, and being the baby, I was good near my parents. So it's funny because when I was sent finally in Europe, it was as a punishment. Like we had it, this time no negotiation, you packing your bag, you're going to study in Europe now. And so at 14, I flew to Europe to pursue my education. I was still in high school, and so I landed in Europe. Just the time to adjust. I had a few friends that had gone in Europe before me, and so by the time I connected with them, I pretty much continued the same thing I was living in Congo, in Europe, but there with more freedom, because parents were not there. I was there with my siblings, so my two brothers and one of my sister, and the other sister, or the oldest one that went, already got married. And so life continued. My life was drinking and going after girls and living a fast life, a life even above my means. We rented, prestigious car during the weekend. Only got dressed brand brand name clothes, in those years. Versace, Yves Saint Laurent, Thierry Mugler was my favorite one, and so that was pretty much a life of show off, a life of clubbing, a life of going after girls. Made myself a little reputation, and so it only got worse. And so Europe didn't fix it. Europe made it worse. Education, never thought I was smart because I was called all the names by my parents, my siblings. I didn't think I was smart. I really believe I had a problem to focus. That still a problem that I kind of struggle with it until this day, but I kind of master it now. I can control it. I can discipline myself to stay focused, but I cannot stay focused into something too long. And so that was really what was haunting me when I was younger. I would start school, and whenever my mind is focused, I will pass my classes, but midway, I'll get discouraged, I'll lose focus, I'll drop out. And so that was really the routine. And so during that time, like I say, maybe when we do the question session, it will be, I'll give you more details, but it was just a crazy life until 1989. Then I was 19. So let's say 6 years, 5 years after I got in Europe, the situation grew worse. And so my parents decided, at that time, one of my brother, 2 years in, as I was in Europe, one of my brother came to the US in Boston precisely. He went to BU, Boston University. And so he started telling my parents that the system here is different than the system in Congo. I mean in Belgium, in Europe. And so I believe that this can help Jean-Marc. So my parents finally 2 years later decided, okay, you're gonna come back, you're gonna join your brother in the US. And I told them, no, before I go to US, I need a break. So let me come back home. I came back home 1999, around October. It was in the middle of the year. I dropped out of school, came back home, party, again like crazy. That was the time that Wege Musica became Wege Musica. And so we will be to all their concert. Papa Wemba is another one that we liked. And just crazy life. Till summer of 1990. So I came back October 1989, and summer of 1990, finally, I came to the US in Miami under the umbrella of my sister and my brother-in-law, because I really listened to that, my sister. I was close to her. She's my sister that I was with in Belgium. I had a weak spot for her. She really always had her way with me, and so my parents thought that I would be better with her than with my brother in Boston. And so my sister and her husband were in Miami, and I was with them. And that's really when another season of my life began. In Miami, there was a small community there of Congolese that half of them I knew from Belgium, that they had moved here. Just a time to reconnect, to get a little English going, to get a car, because in Miami, the what how you call it, the buses and train, public transportation. So what I was looking for was not good, just like here in Texas. So you needed a car. So I just landed. I had a car. I had a place to live, an apartment, and so life began again. And so the same thing, girls, partying, brand name clothes, and that's just crazy life. That's all I did. Started college, dropped out. I would start a semester, I would drop out. Start a semester, I would drop out, and so it went like that. 1990. Actually, let me go back a little bit. When I got in 1990 with my sister, she was already saved. 1991, I believe I gave my life to Christ. And it was one of the most beautiful things that happened to me. I went through that 1992. In 1993, as I connected to a young lady, a young lady my age then, in prayer, we end up start dating, and ultimately falling into sin, and that opened the door for me to backslid again. To backslid for the very first time. And so I backslided till 1998, when at the time I moved to Miami. I moved from Miami to Texas, where I am today in Dallas. What had happened is, I think in 1996, I landed this job in a store that I used to be a customer, a client. They sold Thierry Mugler, Gianni Versace, Moschino, Issey-Miyake, and all those brands, but their main designer was Thierry Mugler. And I would go there to buy my Thierry Muglers, and I would chat with the boss. I didn't know he was the owner. I would chat with him when he's at the store. He knew me. And one day I told him, because I'll go there often. And sometimes we'll just hang out talking. And so one day I said, I would love to work here. He said, you know what? You've been such a good customer. If you want to work, I'll give you a job. Long story short, he gave me a job. And so I started working there. It was at Mulumba Mall. It's the equivalent of Rodeo Drive that is in California, in Miami. So all the famous people come there. Clothes are expensive. And working there was on commission. And so I started to make a lot of money and continue that. That helped me to maintain the lifestyle that I wanted to have while in Miami. Nice luxury cars, nice clothes, brand name clothes, champagne once in the club. I was living in a luxurious apartment, and so you have it. Then in 1998, something happened at work. I lost the job.